Unfortunately, I've lost a number of loved ones throughout my life, so it was kind of difficult for me to pick just one person to discuss. But I'm going to share with you my experience of the loss of my grandma Tran. It was definitely a very hard and unexpected time period for me and my family. My grandpa Tran was actually in worse shape than my grandma Tran, as he kind of dealt with his own health issues, so we were all kind of mentally prepared for my grandpa to pass away before my grandma. So it was kind of surprising when it didn't really happen in that order. My grandma was always in great shape and health, so it was kind of shocking when she suddenly became ill. Her health quickly deteriorated and she became very, very skinny. When I look at the pictures now of her at that time, she is hardly recognizable. Just to give you a short background, my grandma and grandpa Tran are my dad's parents and they are from Vietnam. They moved to Missouri whenever I was a young kid and they lived most of their American life in Missouri. They acclimated very well to life in the U.S. and spoke English very well. Whenever I was a preteen is whenever they moved to California to be near my aunt, and they lived in a Vietnamese community, and this was definitely much easier for them so they could just speak Vietnamese in their everyday life. I kind of feel that I missed out on the latter part of my grandparents' life, although I am actually very happy that my little cousin in California got to have her time with our grandparents. She used to tell me that they would tell her stories of the games that I used to play with them whenever I was a kid, and I kind of think she felt left out since she did not really get to have as much of a childhood with them as I did. So I'm actually glad that she got to have her turn, so to speak. I was in high school when my grandma passed away. I remember I had a big essay due around that time, and it was actually the biggest paper of my high school career. So I chose not to travel to California to attend my grandma's funeral. At the time, and sometimes still to this day, I actually kind of feel guilty for not attending the funeral. I wish I could have been there for my family, especially my little cousin, but on the other hand, I love the way I remember my grandma. She was a short little Asian woman, but she never acted like she was little. She could be feisty and used to get down on her hands and knees and played with me, and we kind of fought as a kid, just wrestling and stuff. My mom used to tell me to do those types of activities with my dad, not my grandma, but my grandma would just brush it off and tell my mom it was okay and we were having fun. So whenever I see pictures of my grandma lying in her casket and she honestly kind of looks like a skeleton, it really kind of frightens me. So looking back, I am happy she did not have a long journey of being sick. As I watched the YouTube videos for this week, I found myself feeling very sad, and I really sympathize for the families who had to make the tough decision of whether to keep their loved ones on life support. Thankfully, we did not have to make those decisions with my grandma, and she passed a somewhat peaceful death, and my family really takes comfort in that. I really believe that my mom taught me how to cope with death to the best of my abilities. I think I took cues from my mom on how to act and feel during the grief of losing a loved one. I am, of course, sad when it happens, but I did not find myself going into a deep downward spiral of depression. We must get through life and find a way to deal with the cards God hands us. My task of grieving was to work through the pain and try to keep busy in order to not really think about it. My friends and family are also a great emotional support. And I try to remember the people I have lost in the way they were before falling ill. And I definitely take comfort in remembering the way they made me feel and the great memories we shared. Throughout daily life, in actually the most unexpected times, I can find little reminders of my grandma and experience moments of joy that I have since forgotten. My mom and I still to this day send money to my aunt in California to place flowers on my grandma's grave. Whenever my fiance and I get married, I actually plan to have a special place for the both of us to place photos of our loved ones with candles lit up by them. Sorry. They're still a big part of our lives. I do truly believe, even though they are not here in person, they are still with us in spirit. Sorry I got emotional there, but thank you, Dr. Shaw.